Comics are fine, everybody. Comics are fine. Yeah, Aftershock just filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. That's not a good sign. And they owe tens of millions of dollars, I guess, to creators. It's quite a mess, right? It's quite a mess. And a lot of creators, I was surprised. I didn't even know they were doing books for Aftershock. I didn't even know Aftershock put that much content out. But they're one of several publishers that I think are going to go belly up in the very, very near future. I am very surprised IDW and Valiant are somehow hanging on. Other than Marvel and DC, it doesn't seem like there are too many places you can go and work in the direct market and have a guarantee of making decent money, let alone getting paid. Meanwhile, in crowdfunding, meanwhile in manga, things are fine. Things are okay, but this is the comic book industry, guys. This is why I think you see so many salty creators on Twitter all the time, on social media all the time. Some of them I'm like, somebody needs to stop by their house, do a wellness check because they sound despondent, desperate, and now we're starting to see why. And I'm not rubbing salt in the wound. I've actually been on the receiving end on multiple occasions of publishers not paying. In fact, some of the publishers that we're talking about now owed me money back in the day. I did get paid eventually, but there were all kinds of indicators that things were not good. They're not good. The comic book industry is being artificially propped up. There were articles out there before talking about PPP loans propping up the comic book industry. And now it's being propped up by just not paying your bills, not paying your creators. Now they're filing for Chapter 11. So good luck getting paid, because the purpose of filing for Chapter 11 is you can defer paying your bills while you reorganize the company. And if you're a contractor, which most of these people are, you're going to have to wait. So let's talk about this before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 283,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for the support on Crimson Wren, which between Indiegogo and Kickstarter did about $112,000. Again, that sounds like a ridiculous amount of money. It's very good money. It's enough to pay our artist, Jose Garcia, who's very, very good, and his team. It's enough to print the books, and it's enough to bankroll the next book. Not a lot of profit left, not after taxes or whatever. I mean, that's just kind of the way it works. But at least we're able to produce the comics we want to produce, right? And we don't have to wonder whether or not we're going to get paid. Jose doesn't have to wonder whether or not he's going to get paid. None of our artists have to worry about whether or not they're going to get paid, because we always make sure we have our money up front before we even go to crowdfunding. Like we're like, do we have enough money to bankroll this book out of pocket? If the answer is yes, we move forward, we take the risk, and then we go out and we do pre-sales via crowdfunding. And it worked out. One of these days it might not. But the way the North American comic book direct market is working is not sustainable. It's just so weird. All kinds of stories out there about how creators are being screwed in comics. And ICV2 puts out this article saying that it's raining money. Guys, it's raining money. That the comic book industry has never been better. I think people are starting to see through this. Again, what are we talking about when we're talking about the comic book industry? Are we talking about any books that have pictures and words put together, which would mean graphic novels and manga and all this stuff? Because obviously the comic book industry is not in a good place right now. It really isn't. So let's talk about this. Aftershock files for Chapter 11. They filed for Chapter 11. They released a statement to CBR News about it. Chapter 11 bankruptcy is what's known as a reorganization. Yeah, it's a nice way of saying we're running out of money. We can't pay our bills. We really got to think about this. Man, look at all these ads. A number of famous companies have gone through Chapter 11 and emerged from it, with Marvel being the most famous example in the world. So it might be okay. Plenty of companies have been unable to make it through bankruptcy. Comico, CrossGen, Chaos. As 3 comic book companies examples just beginning to see. There are far more comic book companies that have filed for Chapter 11 that haven't made it out the other side. I mean, I think Marvel, I'm trying to remember, memory's a little hazy, but I think Marvel only made it out because of Toy Biz. Is that what happened? I don't remember. Basically, Marvel and DC, I think current year Marvel would probably be bankrupt if it wasn't for Disney propping them up and the movies propping them up. If we had to depend solely on book sales, I don't think Marvel and DC would be nearly as or they would not be giving the appearance of success that they're giving right now, right? Even then, I'm hearing on the back end that it's not just Aftershock, it's not just IDW, it's not just Valiant, but actually Marvel and DC apparently not paying creators or deferring payments too. That's not a good sign, guys. What did the filing reveal? They have $10 to $50 million in assets, but it has $10 to $50 million in debt. The two biggest creditors in the filing were their UK distributors, AS Comics, to which Aftershock owed $514,000, and its Canadian printer, to which it owed $398,000. There are another of other companies and people listed in the filing. Is it Rive Gauche? Rive Gauche Television, a sister company of Aftershock that had emerged with the company in 2020 to form Aftershock Media, a way to translate Aftershock comic book properties to television and film, also declared bankruptcy. Remember Platinum Studios? Does anybody remember Platinum Studios? Remember that was a thing? Yeah, it was basically a way to generate cheap pitches, I guess, for Hollywood. And they only had one or two properties, I think, make it. And they went through this whole thing too. Aftershock's statement to CBR in the Chapter 11 filing: after much deliberation, Aftershock Comics LLC has voluntarily filed a petition for protection under Chapter 11 of the U.S. Bankruptcy Code to enable the company to restructure its senior secured facility, as well as being in a position to secure additional financing to continue to operate. The intent of this decisive action, among other considerations, is to allow the company to maintain operations in the ordinary course, including but not limited to paying employees and continuing existing benefits programs, upholding and following through on commitments to contracted creators. Good luck with that. As well as vendors who supply goods and services and marketing and merchandising. Aftershock will continue to operate, publish, and market comic books and graphic novels to supply the direct market retailers and mass accounts through its distributors in accordance with all federal, state, local guidelines. Good luck getting people to work on those books. Good luck with that, unless they're just reprinting stuff. I don't know who is going to work with you at this point. We regret the inconvenience this has caused. However, we believe that going forward, this will allow us to best position the company for long-term success. No, you're done. You're done. Aftershock was founded by former Negative Burn editor Joe Pruitt and former Marvel and DC editor Mike Martz, along with Lee Kramer, John Kramer, and Michael Richter. It was John Kramer who signed the Chapter 11 filing. Martz had previously left Aftershock earlier this year to become editor-in-chief at Mad Cave Comics. Why would you do that if things were good? Martz was replaced by former DC editor Brian Cunningham. Company won the 2017 Diamond Comic Distributor Gem Award New Publisher of the Year. And that means jack shit right now, doesn't it? Published comics by some of the biggest names in comics. Yeah. I mean, look at this. This is not good. Okay, so here's a list of who they owe. According to Rich Johnston, here's who they owe. The debts declared include towards these comic book creators, and there's a lot of money here. Matteo Monaco, $18,000. Emilio Palou, I don't know. Bram Stoker Monster Hunter, $15,000. Alberto Locatelli, $15,000. We got one for $10,000. We got one for $8,800. We got one for $8,600. There are other comic book related debtors, including San Diego Comic-Con, $17,000. AS Comics of Pewsey, England, for $514,000. The printer, $398,000. Another printer for $29,000. The television filing, Jupiter Entertainment, $1.4 million. TBS CNN, $756,000. AMC Networks, $375,000. Holy shit. Film producer, $78,000 of contractor services. Why are you paying the film producer? They should be paying you, right? I mean, they're supposed to be paying you. Here are all the artists, the writers, the creators. Like this is literally a who's who list. So many people owed so much money from Aftershock. Why does the comic book industry fall for this again and again and again and again and again and again? It's like every year, without fail, there is some publisher out there that ran up a debt and they couldn't pay it. You know, declaring Chapter 11 bankruptcy is often not the end, but a new beginning. Bullshit. Bullshit. It enables companies to take a break from their debt, take a break from paying their creators while they attempt to reorganize so they can pay off their debts. We hope that for Aftershock and their creditors, this is one of those occasions, and the temporary nature is how this is being spun. Bullshit. It's over. This is the North American comic book direct market in the year 2022. They're fucking done. They're just done. Streaming is imploding, so they're not going to be buying shows from Aftershock. Very, very implausible. This is what IDW bet on too. IDW had a good thing going with their tabletop, and they burned it to the ground to chase after streaming. Like, they were making really good money on tabletop games. They could have done that and then worked on their own homebrew IP, and they didn't. They chased licenses and Hollywood deals. Everybody wants to get rich quick, and this is what happens, right? So let's go out to Twitter. Are comic book pros still on Twitter? Or they rage quit? Chris Arant doing an article on Popverse. Now, I've heard from some different people that they're all trying to put a positive spin on this. Wes, I'm sure, isn't. Look at the flames. Look at the flames. Creator resource for anyone affected. Please take a read through Alex's thread. Alex DeCampi owed money. She was one of the first ones, I believe, to throw Aftershock under the wheels of the bus. Heidi McDonald, I believe, is owed money for advertising. That's why she had to do Patreon, because they didn't pay her. Aftershock Comics Twitter being masked by actual earthquake. Aftershock Twitter. What? Now would be a good time for Valiant Comics to issue a truthful statement on unpaid comics creators. I believe so. I believe that there are more publishers out there that are in just as bad a shape, if not worse shape. At least Valiant had the good sense to pull back on the number of titles they were publishing. Apparently, Rags here avoided Aftershock. Lots of people talking about it. Former IDW executive Chris Rawl was announced in September joining Aftershock to help plot the company's way forward. We now know he never ended up joining them. He probably looked at it and he's like, hell no. I jumped out of one frying pan. I'm not jumping into the fire. Gabe Hernandez, yeah. Lost that bet. I would have sworn IDW or Valiant would have gone first. Me too. IDW is just hanging on by its fingertips. I don't know how. I have no idea. But guys, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. This is the comics. It's not in good shape. Stop saying comics is fine. Comics are not fine for most people. For Raina Telgemeier, it's fine. For the Dogman guy, it's fine. For the Japanese publishers, it's fine. But for everybody else, for all you people that hang out on Twitter all day, dunking on people doing creator-owned books, comics is not fine. It is not fine. And there have been warning signs. There have been red flags for years. And you ignored them. You absolutely positively ignored everything, all the signs. Instead, you mocked people. You attacked people. You tried to deplatform people that were making more money, that were trying to find another way to do it. And I used to think that, well, maybe it's a political thing. It's not political. I don't think it is. I think that there are a lot of really jealous, salty, angry, bitter, broke people out there that are furious that other people saw those red flags, that they were able to build a life raft, that they were able to get out of this situation, that they weren't beholden to sleazy ass publishers like this. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I guess my thing is like, and look, this isn't to be a dick, but and this is a guy that used to work in the mainstream comic book industry, right? I mean, I did for years, and I worked for the smaller publishers. I never worked for Marvel or DC. I always worked for smaller publishers, the IDWs, the Gemstones, the Fantagraphics, whatever. The warning signs have been there for years, long before the YouTube drama, long before any of that. I mean, I'm talking 2014, 2015. It was pretty obvious that the comic book industry was never going to get better, that the money was never going to flow. It was never going to be the early 90s again, that ship had sailed. And the best you could hope for is getting paid something for comics, and hopefully paid on time, without legal action. I mean, Action Lab, that's another one. Speaking of Action Lab's another one that owes creators. I mean, there's like 5 publishers now, and they're going to blame the pandemic. And I think the pandemic might have played into it somewhat. These companies were hanging on by their fingertips before the pandemic. The pandemic just wound up being the kill shot. And now all these creators are stuck holding the bag, you know, but the warning signs were there. You could have gotten out at any point in time. You could have gone and done your own thing at any point in time, you know, and you'd be better off now. You won't have to be out there on GoFundMe. I mean, hell, there's a comic shop out there in Philadelphia. They're out there on GoFundMe right now. And I feel bad for them. I really do. But it's like the comic book industry is being propped up by charity, you know, charity and venture capital and pushing money around. And it's just like, don't sit there and tell me things are fine. You can't, don't sit there and tell me it's raining money. What the fuck are you talking about? It's not. Maybe for a handful of people, maybe for people working in, again, on other kinds of comics, but in the direct market, in the North American direct market in 2022, it's fucking terrible. It's fucking bad. And it's going to end the careers of a lot of these people. And I'm not dancing on anybody's graves. I'm just telling you, it's not sustainable. These publishers are all going to fold, and they make up a good chunk of the paying work out there. It's going to be all Marvel and DC. And you know what they're going to do? They're probably going to be like, yeah, let's just reprint Infinity Gauntlet 1,000 times. Let's go to you know, another country and source artists because they're cheaper and they're not on Twitter bitching about stuff all the time. You know, and you know, if they don't get paid, who's going to hear about it, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like that's probably what's going to happen. The direct market's over. It's over. It's done. And the fallout from that is going to be the comic shops selling new comics are also done. They're geeky flea markets at this point. You know, they sell back issues. So many comic shops that I know of have gone to back issues, you know, and that's it. Again, the warning signs have been there for years. People willingly chose not to heed the warnings. The sky was absolutely falling, but you kept attacking people who were telling you that. And now here we are. And so many people owed so much money, and I'm not gloating about it. I'm not gloating about it. I actually know some of the people on that list. And it's going to be a pretty miserable holiday season for them, I think, because they're not getting paid. We told you so. A lot of us said things are not good. Not just YouTubers, people working in webcomics, people working in, you know, other areas, comics adjacent industries have all said that this is going to collapse. And you didn't listen. And here we are. And Aftershock is going to be the first company that falls. And I guarantee you, early next year, we're going to see some other companies fall. And the reason I think Dark Horse sold off to Embracer Group was because they saw this coming. Mike Richardson's a pretty smart guy. I think he saw this coming. And there we are. That's it. It's a wrap, guys. I don't know what to tell you. It's over. Comics as we knew it is over. It's over for a lot of people. Gonna wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.